can't believe that it's coming up to almost a year since we lost our wonderful monarch. I know we're in July, but preparations are afoot. And I wanted to share this with you because I think it's really important. In fact, a couple of little bits and pieces. I don't know if you've heard or seen about this, but I think this is good news. A lot of pubs, public houses, inns, whatever you call them in your part of the world, recently submitted applications so they could change the name of their pub to Queen Elizabeth II, or indeed Elizabeth II or Queen Elizabeth, whichever. Now, apparently the powers that be in government have said, no, we're going to have to be very selective about how we use our late monarch's name. Now, when you think about it, it was a lot of prestige and honour. And I don't know if you know this, but even a hotel that has the prefix of the royal whatever, they have to get permission from the government, and they certainly have to pay a small fee to the crown. There's something attached to that. Fascinating rituals that are hundreds of years old, but there is a thing about the use of the word royal, even though Harry and Meghan, if you recall, famously said you don't own the word to Her Majesty the Queen. Shocking in itself. But what we can tell you is this, that it does look like there's going to be some kind of permanent memorial, whether it be a statue or a brand new portrait unveiled. And the news for that should come around about September time. So I wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of people like me will be very excited. And as I said, time really marches on, but she's still everywhere over here in the United Kingdom. One story that was fed to me recently, which I think is incredibly nice and sweet when you think, is a lot of people said, that Her Majesty was kind of annoyed when the president came over, President Trump, Donald J. Trump, right? And if you recall, he sort of stepped in front of her at the inspection of the guard. It went down really well over here, because people just kind of thought, oh, goodness. And I love the way she dealt with him, virtually batted him out of the way. Get on that side, that sort of thing. But what really formed was a very close bond. And in the fact that when they had their private meeting, their afternoon tea, Donald was given sort of intimate chat about one of his heroes, none other than the late and brilliant former British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, a man, of course, who we know holds in very much high respect and returned the bust of to the White House, of which we're forever grateful. According to that very good source, Mr. Trump really couldn't wait to ask Her Majesty the Queen all about Churchill. And let's not forget, let's not forget, of course, that he was her very first prime minister, a lot older than her, but giving her a lot of sage advice, and something that she never forgot. She truly was upset when he passed away. According to that good source, Mr. Trump couldn't believe the fact that he was sat with someone who'd actually met his hero. I know, it's incredible, actually, when you do meet people like that. You truly do enjoy that moment. And I am also told that when Mr. Trump left, the Queen very kindly gave him some rather significant mementos of Churchill that he would never have seen before. In fact, he was just simply fascinated by the whole thing. Now, when you also consider that the last president to meet Her Majesty the Queen was none other than the current president of the United States, President Joe Biden. Do you remember? He made that terrible gaffe when he basically said to camera that he enjoyed meeting her and it was like meeting his mom. Oh, I mean, a lady never wants to be reminded of her age, do they? Of course, Mr. Trump didn't have that problem. They got on spectacularly well. And it's nice to know that the Queen's memory still lives on in so many people. And as I said, if you are interested, and I know many people are who watch this channel, let's look out around about September time for some news about some kind of permanent memorial for Her Majesty the Queen. Let's not forget also that the current Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, couldn't find space for anything right now on the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square. And he wonders, of course, why people don't like him over here. As ever, I'd love to know your comments about these particular stories below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.